into our life. And, we were trying to welcome new things into our life. Here's this side. And on the other side are these old patterns that just keep on showing up. And last night we were decorating the tree. Of course, my old pattern shows up, which is that I hate decorating. Literally, as I'm hanging bulbs on things, what my primary thought is, dang it, we're going to have to figure out a way to put all these away again. And that's not a great place to be. And I just think Christmas is filled with those little opportunities, those little growth opportunities where we can learn to look at something a little differently and maybe try to see it in a different way. So thank you for joining us today. And hopefully by the end, we'll just have just a number of different thoughts here, but hopefully one or two of them land and help you, make it an even better Christmas than it's already teed up to be. So I want to start with this idea that we have to look at problems and patterns. Here's the problem. This is the pattern that I have around it. And again, it's easy when we look at the problem, and this is spirituality 101. We look at the problem over here. If it's us creating this problem, we believe it's circumstances doing it. If it's another person, we oftentimes believe it's their character doing it. So for us, it's just the circumstances. For other people, it's their character. So number one, be aware of that. And just when you identify the problem, just look at the problem and hold it just at a surface level. Don't get into those bigger judgments about someone in terms of why they're doing it, or I know why you did that, or blah, 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 blah. And more importantly, look at the pattern. What is the pattern around this problem? And that's probably where you're going to be able to find better solutions, because the pattern is what constantly creates a problem. And we can remove the problem for a minute, but if the pattern's still there, the problem's just going to reappear. And just imagine a strained relationship with a sibling. I think probably most of us have had that temporarily, or some of you may be going through that, or some of you may have an estranged sibling. And it's easy to just think, well, I'll just do this one thing and remove the problem and address that problem for that minute. But is there a bigger pattern that you can look at? And I'm not talking about like overanalyzing or anything like that. Just, is there a bigger pattern? Is there a way that you find the interaction consistently goes? In other words, here's one. Do you have a script? They'll say this, you'll say that goes back and forth. That's the pattern. And can we address that pattern? Can we find some way to like short circuit that pattern to make it look a little differently than what we might have imagined? And pulling up my phone here because I had a couple beautiful quotes I wanted to share with you that I thought were just so good. And one is that was this morning a piece of New Church theology. One is with that pattern. We start to get we create these patterns, and yet there's this other pattern, we call it divine providence. And we can sort of shift things over there, put things in those waters, and those waters are always bending towards the most good. And divine providence always has our long-term welfare in its mind and the welfare of others. And can we just sort of shift a pattern that direction towards a real loving approach? And it's not necessarily a whole lot. I mean, to get into the stream of divine providence, it's not a whole lot of work, actually. It's not that we have a bunch of different things to do. We have to stop the noise in our head and just be curious. I think that's so key. If we can just be curious, here's this relationship. It feels like a problem. It feels like we have a pattern set up. I'm just going to go into it this Christmas season, being a little bit curious about how it can look different. Just that curiosity can unlock a whole lot of things versus just a programmatic way. And the other one, and this is courtesy of James Finley, and I just thought this was so beautiful today. Beautiful quote I read, which is because this is just like so much shifting it into the stream of divine providence, our own ideas, and shifting it over there. And this is for those of us who might be having a challenge with adult. The relationship with our adult children is different. Our relationship with our grandkids is different. If that's feeling like a problem, this is a great prayer. And this is all about shifting it over to the divine providence side of patterning. What James Finley wrote is, God, help me to be the kind of old person young people want old people to be. Help me not just to walk this, but help me to walk around like this and answer the phone like this and talk to my grandchildren like this. That's such a good line. God, help me to be the kind of old person young people want me to be. And I would even add a little bit more. It's not just what young people want us older folks to be. It's what they need us to be. What do they need us to be? And you can answer that question. I think answers come to mind like in in a hot second there, and they want us to be interested, and they want us to be loving. And I think they also, for in an area that feels so tumultuous, they want to know that sort of the older folks kind of they're grounded as well. It's not just sort of flying all over the place. There's all kinds of things there. And there's a great one to think about. Again, read it again. God, help me to be the kind of old person young people want me to be, or you could say need me to be. Just what do they need you to be? And just work at being that thing, and work at having that show up in all the parts of your life, because that's a divine providence. It's not that it's about going without patterns. It's about going with patterns, but good patterns, because problems are sort of ensconced in patterns of our own creation. And as long as the pattern's there, the problem's just going to keep on happening again and again and again, even if we remove it temporarily. But when we can candidly look at it, we go, okay, God, less of me, more of you. Let me take a look at a new pattern here. What's a pattern of divine providence, that beautiful current that flows through our lives, that is God's love and wisdom flowing through our lives? How do I get more into that? And one way to get at it, again, help me to be the kind of person young people need me to be or want me to be. And just there's humility in that too. That's totally turning it over to God. They don't need us to be superheroes. They just need us to be good people. That's it. They need us to be good people, because that in the end is the pattern that changes all kinds of things. And it doesn't mean, of course, that all problems go away. No, but it's different, because now instead of having here's the pattern, and here's the problem, and it's kind of, they're all interconnected and they're all like linked. Now all of a sudden you have something where here's the problem, but now you have a pattern that can hold the problem versus being part of the problem. And that's a very different energy, much more beautiful energy. So that's the thought for today, dear friends. I hope that makes sense. And what we're going to do now we're going to take a little breath and shift gears. And as we take a little breath here at New Church Live, we're going to do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we'll say hi to friends on social media. So first, a meditation on a beautiful line from the Old Testament. So let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little quick cheery hello to those of you who might be joining us on Facebook or some of the other places we have going. All right, Linda, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. Martha, good morning, my dear friend. Hope life is plugging along there. All right, let's flip over to here. Takes a second. All right, let's see what comments we have over here. Jean, good morning to you, my dear friend. Chignone, oh God, less of me, more of you. Thank you. It's just, there's some prayers that are just like so spot on. I don't know who came up with that prayer, less of me, more of you, but it's like, it's spot on. And it's, that's all I can say, just spot on. Like it's just this sort of having one of those multi-use tools that, you just pull that out, use it for all kinds of things. And Jerry, good morning to you, my dear friend. Hope you're doing well. So friends, God bless. Have a wonderful day.